In the mythological tapestry of ancient Greece, where gods and goddesses meddled freely in the affairs of mortals and destinies were often shaped by divine whims, few stories are as consequential and dramatic as the Judgment of Paris. It is a tale that intertwines beauty, ambition, and the ruinous consequences of desire, serving as the spark that ignited the Trojan War, a conflict that would reshape both mortal and divine worlds. The origin of the conflict. Our story begins with a grand wedding that was meant to bring peace and celebration among the gods. Peleus, a mortal hero, was marrying Thetis, a beautiful sea nymph. This union was celebrated with great festivity on Mount Pelion, and all the deities of Olympus were invited except for one, Eris, the goddess of discord. Known for her malevolence and enjoyment of strife, Eris was deliberately excluded, for the gods knew that her presence would surely bring trouble. Eris, deeply insulted by the snub, vowed revenge. As the celebrations reached their peak, she appeared at the feast uninvited and, with a wicked smile, threw a golden apple onto the banquet table. Inscribed on the apple were the words, "To the fairest." The simple phrase was enough to ignite a fierce rivalry among the goddesses, for the apple was an irresistible prize that would affirm their beauty and superiority. 3 goddesses laid claim to the golden apple: Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom and war; and Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. Each goddess believed herself to be the rightful owner of the title the fairest, and none would yield. The argument quickly escalated, and soon, the entire divine assembly was caught up in the spectacle. Zeus, king of the gods, was asked to judge, but even he knew better than to risk offending any of these powerful deities. Thus, he devised a plan to remove himself from the situation and handed over the responsibility to a mortal, Paris of Troy. The choice of Paris. Paris was no ordinary mortal. He was the son of King Priam and Queen Hecuba of Troy, though his birth had been accompanied by ominous prophecies. Before Paris was born, Hecuba had dreamed that she would give birth to a flaming torch, signifying the destruction of Troy. Fearing the prophecy, Priam ordered the infant to be abandoned on Mount Ida, but he survived, raised by shepherds, and grew into a handsome young man, renowned for his fairness and charm. Unknown to him, fate had a grander role in store. Zeus's decision to choose Paris as the arbiter of beauty was no accident. The goddesses, eager to secure the judgment in their favor, descended upon Mount Ida where they found Paris. With the golden apple in his possession, Paris was now tasked with deciding which goddess deserved the title the fairest. Each goddess attempted to bribe him, promising him great rewards should he choose her. The tempting bribes. First, Hera approached Paris, resplendent in her regal glory. As the queen of the gods and the embodiment of power, Hera offered Paris dominion over all of Asia and the opportunity to be the greatest ruler on earth. She promised him kingdoms and vast wealth, assuring him that his name would be sung for generations as the mightiest king among men. But power, though tempting, did not sway Paris immediately. Next came Athena, dressed in gleaming armor, her eyes filled with the wisdom of ages. The goddess of wisdom and strategy offered Paris unmatched skill in war and the wisdom to outthink any adversary. With Athena's blessing, he would be invincible on the battlefield, a warrior whose victories would be sung in epic poems for all eternity. For a prince of Troy, a land often embroiled in conflict, such a gift was indeed valuable. Yet, Paris hesitated still. Finally, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, approached him with a knowing smile. She did not offer kingdoms or military might. Instead, she promised something more personal and alluring, the love of the most beautiful mortal woman in the world. That woman was Helen of Sparta, a queen whose beauty was legendary, and whose heart Aphrodite vowed to make Paris's. As a young man driven by desire and passion, Paris was enchanted by Aphrodite's offer. Faced with these choices, Paris made his decision. He handed the golden apple to Aphrodite, proclaiming her the fairest of the goddesses. Hera and Athena were furious, feeling deeply insulted by the judgment of a mere mortal. Their anger would not be forgotten and would have dire consequences for Paris and all of Troy. The consequences of the choice. Aphrodite, true to her promise, set the wheels in motion for Paris to claim Helen as his own. However, there was one significant problem. Helen was already married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. She lived in a palace filled with splendor and had taken vows of loyalty to her husband. Yet Aphrodite, wielding her divine influence, ensured that Paris and Helen would meet. When Paris traveled to Sparta under the pretext of diplomacy, he encountered Helen, and, as fate would have it, they fell in love. Some versions of the myth suggest that Aphrodite cast a spell to make Helen fall for Paris, while others imply that their love was mutual, though doomed. Whether by seduction or enchantment, Helen left Sparta with Paris and sailed to Troy. The elopement of Helen, considered the most beautiful woman in the world, was seen not merely as an act of love but as a grave insult and betrayal. Menelaus, heartbroken and enraged, sought the help of his brother, Agamemnon, king of Mycenae. Together, they called upon the leaders of Greece to unite in a grand expedition to retrieve Helen and punish Troy. The gathering storm. The abduction of Helen was more than a personal slight, it was a catalyst for war, exacerbated by the web of alliances and ancient oaths among the Greek leaders. Years earlier, when Helen's suitors had vied for her hand, they had all sworn an oath to protect her marriage, an oath orchestrated by Odysseus to ensure peace among the Greeks. Now, bound by this solemn vow, the greatest warriors of Greece assembled, including Achilles, Odysseus, Ajax, and many others. Ships were readied, and a mighty fleet set sail for Troy, signaling the beginning of a conflict that would last for 10 years and leave a legacy of both heroism and heartbreak. The wrath of the goddesses. The goddesses Hera and Athena, still enraged by Paris's decision, became fierce enemies of Troy. They actively supported the Greeks throughout the war, tipping the scales in favor of Menelaus and Agamemnon. Their wrath was unyielding, and their influence on the battlefield was profound. Meanwhile, Aphrodite remained loyal to Paris and the Trojans, offering them her protection, though even her powers could not fully shield them from the catastrophic events that unfolded. The judgment of Paris had set the stage for one of the most famous wars in history. The conflict between the Greeks and the Trojans was not only a war among mortals but also a battleground for the gods, each driven by their desires and grudges. The clash would result in countless tragedies, from the fall of Troy to the deaths of heroes such as Achilles and Hector, and the eventual suffering of Paris himself. A tale of fate and hubris. At its heart, the story of the judgment of Paris serves as a reflection on the capricious nature of the gods and the vulnerability of mortals to divine machinations. It is a cautionary tale about the perils of vanity, the destructiveness of jealousy, and the unpredictable consequences of choices. Paris, driven by his desires and captivated by Aphrodite's promise, unwittingly set in motion a chain of events that would lead to the ruin of his city and the loss of countless lives. Yet, the tale also underscores the themes of fate and inevitability. From the moment of Paris's birth, Troy's destiny was shrouded in ominous prophecy, and despite efforts to avert it, the city's destruction seemed preordained. The gods, with their immense power and capricious nature, played out their rivalries at the expense of mortal lives, leaving behind a legacy of both great heroism and profound tragedy. The legacy of the Judgment of Paris. The Judgment of Paris has inspired countless works of art, literature, and drama, from ancient Greek epics like Homer's Iliad to Renaissance paintings and modern retellings. It is a story that continues to captivate audiences with its themes of love, power, and the human condition. The beauty contest that seemed so trivial at first glance became the catalyst for one of history's most legendary conflicts, forever immortalizing the names of Paris, Helen, and the gods who played their parts in this grand, tragic tale. The Trojan War, with all its epic battles and legendary heroes, might never have occurred if not for the judgment of Paris. Thus, a simple act of choosing beauty over wisdom and power set the stage for one of the most enduring stories of human civilization, a testament to the lasting impact of love, desire, and the whims of the divine.